What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of
Girl, I'm Grown.
I am Key.
I'm Ciera Chantal.
And I'm Cece.
Okay, so y'all, today I wanted to discuss the topic of co-parenting. I feel like all of us had some type of influence on co-parenting, and it's something that's absolutely very common to do in this day and age, because ain't nobody staying together no more.
And especially at our age, if you're single, you're probably gonna have to deal with some form of co-parenting.
So, just before we get started, I just want to know from y'all's perspective, because maybe it's similar. What does healthy co-parenting look like to y'all? And for me personally, I'm seeking advice because I'm currently going through it. No, I didn't. I'm seeking advice. So I just want to get some perspectives and some input.
For me, I think healthy co-parenting is rooted in respect. So I don't think you can have healthy co-parenting if you hate the other parent or if somebody's coming in new to the relationship and they're hating you. You know what I'm saying? It has to be a mutual respect. And even if it's not respect for your partner, you're respecting your kid enough to have this level of respect.
I got you.
Yeah.
What about you, Cece?
For me, it's effective communication with all parties involved. I feel like once you can, conquer that and hone in on communicating effectively, I feel like that's like one of the key ingredients to a healthy co-parenting situation.
I agree with that.
Yeah, those sound like probably some of the most two important things for me. Even though I'm still getting to that place, I feel like my initial thought is what's best for the child. So I feel like what you guys both said is really considering that fact. So I always feel like my first thought is what's best for the child. Anytime I'm into a situation co-parenting, I'm not sure how to navigate. My immediate thought is just what's best for the child. I always put it back there, I guess, to kind of check me wherever I'm at, wherever I may be doing. Like that's the only thing I feel like I know that I do that's just actively saying, okay, you're gonna make this decision to take a healthy step towards co-parenting.
Yeah.
So it's so many different avenues and different channels of co-parenting. Let's see.
I would say this. I think I am easy to get along in the co-parenting space because I think I had to deal with co-parenting early on when I was just still almost a teenager myself because you guys, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I have a son and he's 17 and he has a sister that's 2 months younger than him. And so me and
Ghetto twins.
Me and my kid's father, we were together. And when this whole thing, I'm from a small town, so when this whole thing came about, it was just like he was denying, like, oh no, like, and it came out that he was actually the father, and maybe because I knew the young lady, and I knew her since she was younger, and I already had love for her. And I had love for of course, my child's father. So it was easy for me to like be a co-parent or step in and kind of like be a stepmom. And I think it's the fact that I love kids anyways. So it was easy for me. And I know it could have been hard for her to entrust me with her child because, I used to keep the baby when she was real small. And I think that's a special, delicate situation because I know me as a mom, I wouldn't want anybody else looking after my small kid, And I think that plays a role. But I love kids and I could never like harm or have any ill will. But I do think when you're in a co-parenting situation, you really cannot hate that other person because I think like kids know things. And you don't want to have any hate in your heart for their parent because how can you hate their parent and love the child? Sometimes is that a real thing?
Yeah, I think it's circumstantial, maybe depending on like dire situations. But I think for the most part, if y'all working towards co-parenting, like that makes sense. So Cece, I know you don't have any children yet, but have you had any type experience with co-parenting, or like say for instance you're dating a guy and
being a
he has a child? and you are actively involved?
Yeah, I have multiple of times because back when I used to date, I used to like kind of want to date guys with kids because I wasn't sure if I wanted kids myself. So it was easier for me to date them because they weren't going to be in a rush to have kids. And there was some good, some bad, and I think the bad came in when they were still involved behind closed doors. And the good was, I mean, you have some, mother of the children that like me, love me, respect me. Their kids can come around me anytime, even without the father. And you had some that didn't like me because I was the girlfriend, and they were still either involved with the guy behind the scenes or wanting it to be. But on the flip, I've dated a guy that, I was his girlfriend, and I had a relationship with his kids and the baby mothers and everything like that. And when I broke up with him, he kind of called the baby mother like, yeah, like putting negative stuff in her ear. And she and I had a conversation and came down to the conclusion that he was lying because he was upset about me leaving him. But essentially, he didn't want me around his kid anymore. And that's the reason why I kind of stepped back from dating guys with kids, because that hurt me. I get involved or I get attached, and then you have to leave the situation altogether. You know what I mean? Like, you can go back once you're healed, but in that first, part of like breaking it off, you got to leave everybody behind. And so once he did that and played with me like that, I just decided I didn't want to date guys with kids anymore.
Yeah. So he wanted essentially for you not to have anything to do with the child, but you've grown like an affinity for the kid.
If I didn't want him, I didn't want his child. That's what he said. So it's like a bitter baby mama type, the flip.
Yeah.
But it's like women like trying to use that. That's what he did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I just want to know, do y'all have, like, for instance, if you're dating a guy with children, what is your etiquette surrounding the situation with you being around his child? Do you have any etiquette towards that, or any circumstances, or any,
Well, I mean, for me, it's always leading by example and being a good example and role model to the children. So no matter what situation the child is at home, when they're in your care, you show them something different. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't curse around those kids. I kept their mom's bedtime in place. Like, it was a respect thing. So there was no staying up extra because I'm the cool stepmom. Your mom said 8 o'clock, that's what we're going to do, 8 o'clock. If you don't want to listen, I call her. Because I don't discipline somebody's children. We're not married. You know what I mean? So I always consulted with mama, not daddy. I call mom because they're the most sensitive people involved in the relationship. You know what I mean?
So you agree to, I'm just assuming, to communicate with the mother
100%.
first before
I meet them.
the
I
child?
want to talk to the mom. Yeah, because for me, it was obviously, I don't have kids. So as a woman that's from the outside looking in, a woman that have kids look at a woman that don't have kids. What do you know about kids? How you gonna tell me about my child or X, Y, and Z? And I can respect that because I don't have kids, but I never wanted to get to that point where the disrespect start.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm gonna introduce myself. You know who I am. You know what I work. You know how I work. You know that I'm respected and I respect myself and I carry myself in a certain manner.
Right.
And I'm gonna respect you. So if there's anything that you do not want me to do in regards to your child, let me know. Like, you can lay down the ground rules, and I'm gonna honor that. And I think that's the way to do it, because for me, a woman that don't have kids and you're stepping into a relationship like that with a man that have kids, I think best practice is to talk to the mom. Now,
I agree with that.
It could be a situation, like I said, where baby mama was still trying to be in the picture, or they were still dealing with each other. That's hard to do.
They didn't want to talk to you.
Exactly,
because
you don't
like
like
a telltale sign. Like, I really want to meet her. You
exactly, and that's
like
when you know. So you kind of like take a step back, and then you reevaluate. Is that something I even want to be involved in? You know what I mean? So I have the conversation with him. Listen, there's something going on. I can feel it. We all know, because a woman is not going to react to something if there's not something right.
It's not
so
something.
Listen, if you're still dealing with her, let me know, because I don't want to be involved in your kid's life, and then this blows up in my face. Because she's never going to like me because I'm in her spot.
Because she sees herself there.
Exactly. So for me, it's about a respect thing, like you said, but also communication. Because for me, I don't have to be in nobody's child's life. I enjoy, if I choose to date a man with a child, I know what comes with that territory. But I also like to include the mom first off top, because a lot of time I get he's the father, but he's not gonna feel the same way she's gonna feel. Mom is like Mama Bear. She's gonna be very
nurturer, primary parent.
And very protective of her child. She don't know you. Just because you're dealing with him, I know nothing about you.
And if you're a mom yourself, and I respect that about you, Cece, for coming in as, not a mom yet, but you recognize, the mom plays an important role.
Right.
And I also think if you are a mom already and you're dating somebody with a child and y'all getting serious, it's important to meet that mom.
I agree.
Yeah. And that's just like common etiquette when you're a woman, because you, like Cece said, you wouldn't want anybody to come in if the shoe was on the other foot and not even try to meet you.
100%.
But we have to make sure, in the same regard, what do we think about, or Key, this is a question for you. Mm-hmm. If you get serious with someone and you want them to be around your child, do you think it's imperative for for them to meet the father of your child?
Well, this is something that I've always said, because I know how I feel, you know what I'm saying, what I would want done for me on my behalf. So I pretty much try to be that same person. So just out of the respect, because if I'm bringing someone else in, and that's why you kind of got to look at it from both points of view. Because if I'm bringing someone else in, or I'm going into a home of a man and I'm choosing him to be the leader, the father figure, you're going to be predominantly around my child a lot of the time. So I would feel more comfortable with doing that with the person that I'm sharing the child with, especially when the child is active in his life. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to take that away. I would want it to be an even level of respect, or at least an understanding, or knowing, like, okay, this is what she, you know what I'm saying, have around my child, this is what we're doing. So yeah, I definitely feel like, and then I'm one of them ones where I will try to hold it off for as long as possible to be sure, because in a past situation, I've done that. Like with Cece, got in a situation, getting to be with someone, and then y'all break apart, but they already build that bond with the child. And it's difficult for the child sometimes, and it's difficult for the other person sometimes too. And then even if the whole family got involved, it's a lot. So it's like, okay, I want to be sure. I want to be careful. I want to make it understood that this is serious. I'm not just bringing anybody around anybody.
Yeah, that's very much so true.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's where
but on the flip with that is, how would you, or have you ever thought about if your child's father would be like how I said the baby mother was, like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, like, I want to be him. How would you go about dealing with that? Because this is somebody that you're involved with and you obviously see a future with. If you're going to allow him to be around your kids, how do you have a conversation with your child's father and say, listen, this is what this is. This is a temporary, this is something we're doing, and I need you to be involved, because I don't want this, like, oh, I wonder the way he doing and this type of dude. We're trying to communicate effectively.
I feel, because, that is like, you break apart with someone, that's like one of the main things that come up, like, when the person moves on. So it's kind of like, I'm a proactive motherfucker, so I'm like, listen, before XYZ, we need to have a conversation. I just let it be known that this is what I would prefer. I'm going to say that I would prefer it to be a conversation, so I can understand what's going on. The same way that I would do for, so I would want to honor and be able to, it be an even exchange. So we both are on the same page. And I feel like that communication piece, being on the same page, that is the most important part when it's aligned like that.
I agree.
I feel like I definitely agree, and I think it really holds true when you have, like, younger kids. But I also feel like it is a thing, even with my sons, when I started dating, their dad...
He act like a baby daddy. He act like Blueface.
I'm gonna not know, because when I was younger dating, like, I really didn't take anybody serious when they were young. But I'm saying, like, in my current situation, when that was introduced, I had to, like, of course, tell him and communicate what was going on. And he, he did act like I wanted a good girl, but then he got serious. Like, is he a good dude?
But
like,
I think, I don't mean to cut you out, but it's kind of like, I feel your baby daddy, because who is Right. Who you got around like that's like a level of I feel like a concern that a parent has.
Any parent,
but I'm just like that in general with everybody. Like, who you talking to? Who is this? You know what I'm saying? I'm like checking everybody.
And he's a Capricorn too.
Yes.
And so he was just like, but at the end of the root of it, he just wants to make sure, like, is he a good dude?
Yeah.
Do you trust him? Like, why you pick him? You know, because he just really wasn't used to me being too serious with anybody.
Yeah.
So that was a point of concern. But like Cece said, it takes that communication and just be like honest. Like, listen, you know, I don't just randomly date. I don't randomly have people. If I have somebody around our kids, this is somebody that I really want to be with, and I think he's a good person.
Yeah.
Let's jump to, I'm going to be the one to do it today, to a little lighter side of it.
Okay.
I'm just jumping to it because you mentioned it to me, Ciera. So she mentioned a post that said something along the lines of,
let me see, can I pull it up?
I can pull it up, but I didn't want to be all up in my phone. But it said something along the lines of, you will never see me with the other baby mama. Basically.
That ain't how I got down, though. Because I was super cool. Like, with my kids... Well, he got two, but we ain't found out about one till later on. Down the line.
Yeah.
But the one outside of me, his daughter's mom, like, I love her. Yeah. And I'm super cool with her. And I feel like we will always be cool. And it's like, it's more so like family to me. You know what I'm saying? But I will also say, I can't feel that post either, even though me and my boo, we don't have kids. But I feel like I'm super cool with his son's mom because he has primary custody of his little boy. Mm-hmm. Or he stays with him. So the mom, like, I'm real cool with her. And I feel like I don't have... And I think it's good because it shows that, like, she's not interested in him. Right. And it shows, like, I respect whatever y'all have. But, like, we're cool. And I can do that.
Y'all, it's just some things that's registering to my brain right now because... Cece, I think both of y'all know that I was cool with the baby.
Yeah.
We was buddy. We was hitting the streets. She knew my friends. I knew her friends. Yeah. But it didn't start off like that. Mm-hmm. It didn't start off like that
because of him.
And then let me tell you this thing where y'all was wrong. Because me and my baby daddy, I didn't want, like, my oldest dad. I didn't want him. We had done moved on. I used to be having, like, other issues with him. And sometimes if he have a person he's dealing with and he's telling them this one side of whatever they think is going on.
So common.
When me and him are having interactions, they have something to say. So I remember her name's Ciera, y'all. Like
Little Ciera was her name. Little Ciera.
Yeah, she gonna see this and talk her shit. But it was just like the first encounter was not the best. But after she was done with him, she found out the type of guy he was. And he wasn't really active in our children's lives. And it was just them two at the time. And we were just like, okay, well, they ain't gonna know each other. We need to make sure they ain't gonna come together and reproduce, or you know what I'm saying. So our initial thing was pretty much like we can be cool so that our kids can know each other. Because if we leave it up to their daddy, they just not gonna know each other. And then that was just something, you know, when you have your first kid, you just want it to be this perfect little family. Yeah. But when it's not perfect, you try to see other things that can make it work. Yeah. So I felt like, okay, you cool, we cool. We don't want him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This is really about our kids, and then our kids will get an opportunity to spend time together. But we was cool a lot. People could not believe. They was like, y'all have threesomes together? It's like, no.
Why did minds go like that? Just because we're cool?
Mine go like that because you see how, what's it called, them linked up? People.
Yes. But you know, they got mad. We talking about Blueface Jaden and Christian, but I feel like they kind of got mad at him when he was like, okay, well, y'all linked up, y'all messed up my house, it's time for y'all to come fuck, who gonna fuck me first? Like, they didn't like that. And it's like, men aren't really those dudes like that that's just getting threesomes. Let's keep it real. Like, you're not that guy. You're not gonna get it. Let's not. Okay, but I did want to introduce a little topic because we're dressed in our Christmas colors because it's almost Christmas. and we're talking about co-parenting. So, how do we do holidays as co-parenting? Key, how would you do the co-parenting? Or do you think it's best to just keep it separate? Have time to go visit?
I don't know. I feel like everybody knows you caught up with Key. I was in a family unit and now we're separate. So that came up last year for me. So I feel like what we did last year, that don't mean we gonna do the same thing every single year. I think it's kind of like a situation by situation basis because this is still new for us, and we are not like we haven't both been like in a respective place at a long consistent period of time where we kind of know this is your tradition, this is your routine. It's just like the first year, so it's kind of like I'm not exactly at the same place where I was last year, and the other person isn't either. Things kind of change, so it's kind of like I don't know, but what we did last year was split the day.
Oh, okay.
So, Thanksgiving, I ain't had nothing going on, so I was like, just go ahead and get them. And that's Christmas, we split the day.
Yeah. I feel like, it's about the children at the end of the day. Where I draw the line is I don't feel like it should be no spending the night, no under the same roof. That's my only thing. What do you think, Cece?
I mean, being a stepmom in the past, I just got the kids gifts. They stop by to get them, hug, kisses, and they go with their parents. It was, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's about the kids. And so I'm not their parent. And this is a special holiday that they're used to sometimes with the parents, you know what I mean? Their mom and their father. So I got them gifts and they would come by. Mom would usually bring them because, daddy probably busy. And they would bring them over there. And I even got the mom a gift, for Christmas. And, sent them on home to their family. And they did their thing. I was with my family. And, I saw him later.
Okay, so I have a question because I did some research, and I saw this thing where Amber Rose, she was talking about co-parenting with Wiz Khalifa, and she mentioned something like she hangs pictures of him and her together in the kids' room so he can see them happy together. So it kind of reminded me of those situations, how they're not together, but when holidays come, they're together with the kids. How do y'all feel about that?
With that situation, and I mean, I feel like it depends on where they are separately, like, relationship wise. But it could be confusing to the child when they're putting on that. Like for me, my ex and his kids' mom, it was like they were at his sister's house, the kids are there. The kids understood, oh, this is daddy's girlfriend, but we going to auntie house and we're gonna eat and whatever. I was invited, but for me it's kind of like it's important for me to let them, have that moment. You know what I mean? And that's just my personal, but I feel like it needs to be a clear understanding because a lot of kids actually desire, that mother, father,
everybody
under one roof.
And
so when you're hanging pictures on the wall, and there's nothing against their, hanging pictures on the wall in their room of them two, that baby is waking up every morning hoping and praying that mommy and daddy together. And the stepmama is literally going to be like looking at like, why are you here? You know what I mean? So then the child starts to not like you or not to respect you because they feel like you're taking their father away from their mother.
That's a excellent point, and I never thought of it that way because I've in the past was thinking like, let me do a picture with my kids and the kids, but you know what? That probably would have romanticized us getting back together, and that was never gonna happen.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot.
I got a question though, Cece. So as a girlfriend, like I respect what you're saying. Like if it's Thanksgiving, I give them the time. But if you saw somebody that was like your fiance or somebody that you were gonna marry, do you feel still?
Oh, that'll be in the house together. I'll be there. It'll be in the house together. Separate, they're gonna be in the father, and they can go see mom, or how
it goes. Mom come to your house?
I wouldn't mind that if we have a good relationship. Like I've had in the past with a few, then I don't mind that. They can come with their spouse.
Okay, I got a question. Let's just say in a couple of years, like you're far removed from your kids' fathers, and you're in a marriage with somebody, and everybody's getting along cool. Could it be a thing where everybody come for Thanksgiving or Christmas to your house and you're cooking?
If my child requested it,
Okay.
I wouldn't. I'm just not gonna do that.
That's
Okay.
fair. That's fair.
I love that. Yeah, this has been such a dope episode.
Y'all like it?
Yes.
This is a good topic.
It really was.
Okay. Well, I definitely want input on people's perspectives of co-parenting or what they feel like is a healthy co-parenting relationship. But before we go, I do want to say one thing because I was doing research on co-parenting because I'm really trying to learn how to have a healthier co-parenting relationship. But I did want to touch on because not me personally, but people close to me have experienced situations where they could absolutely, under any circumstances, not co-parent with the other party. You know, whether it be for safety reasons or mental health reasons or just toxicity. So, how do you navigate that, or have y'all ever seen that? Because what I did see was, it made it seem like it's a police court type shit, or it could not be, but it's something that I looked up called parallel parenting. And it's where I don't know how it works when the kid is real young, but the parents, they absolutely have no communication with each other whatsoever. You know, when you're co-parenting, y'all are coming together deciding what y'all want best for the children. But in one of those parallel situations, it's just like what you do here at your mama house, you do at your mama house, and what you do at your daddy house, you do at your daddy house.
And you got a cell phone and you don't have to talk.
Nobody has any say so whatsoever between what goes on in the two houses.
I would not like that. Or they can't even drop off. Like, you have to have a person a mediator
there, or it's just a simple what time. It's just very strict communication.
I don't like that.
It's unhealthy. It's really unhealthy in my opinion, because children see and they know, they can feel that energy, and for them to not even see y'all even talk about them, or have a conversation, and y'all can't even come together and drop them off and pick them up. And I understand, like, some situations warrant you to stay away from that person for a minute,
like abuse or
things like that. I can understand that. But if it's just downright just being toxic and bitter and things like that, I don't agree with it, because it's not healthy for the child. It's not.
I don't think that's healthy either. And it's just like, we got to get the courts involved. Like, we can't be civil enough to have conversation and do what's best for our kids.
That's why
I think it should be, we should try, if you can, like, if it's outside of violence or somebody isn't threatening your life, I honestly feel like the best thing to do is try to figure out with mediation where you guys can really talk and communicate with each other.
That's why I like Mayetta Shaw. Miss Carter now, sorry. Her co-parenting skills since before she was married with Neo and Crystal and things like that. Like, nobody knows the insides of their relationship and what really happened, other than them. But the way she carried herself in that situation, very classy, and it was about the kids. And whatever conversation they had behind closed doors, you could see in the public eye it worked. Because, I mean, down to the new wife, they had communication. The wife can come to the school plays, and there was no staring her down and being disrespectful. It was no disrespect. And sometimes people, and she wrote a book about it, some people probably should grab it, but I feel like when it comes to being toxic, leave that away from the kids. Like, they don't have to see that. Even if you have to put on the show.
And
do that.
To me, it's a lot of times it's toxic when people's feelings are still involved. If y'all are not together, get your feelings out of it.
That's it.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah, because you're hurting your child.
Okay. Well, that was that, y'all. And if any of our viewers, if you're tuning in and you have some comments to add about recommendation or tips.
Before we go, I'm sorry to cut you off, Key, but I did have a question from one of our viewers.
Okay.
And they wanted us to go on this with the male guests too, but I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let us chime in on it because we love when we get questions. So give me 1 second to pull it.
Because I sure was asking for somebody to ask a question, leave a tip.
Okay, so this is I know you're about to get on that. That's how I remember real quick. She said, "How do couples get their intimacy back after kids?"
Oh, I've heard. I'm not okay. So I talk to a lot of older people at work, and a lot of them, a lot of them were very conservative when it came to, being intimate, right? Because
what's that shit up there?
But they were very conservative, so they wanted to wait until they were empty nesters, which is not realistic when you're, I mean, these are just certain people. But once I talked to this lady, and she said that it was about him communicating his needs, because for her, he works a full-time job. She's a stay-at-home mom, and so when he comes home, she's thinking he's tired. In turn, it's like, and I get it, she's being considerate of her man, right?
Right.
But he's looking at you like, trying to fill on your butt and do all these things, and you're not catching what he's throwing out, right? Not the kids are in the other room. And she said she started to, like, think outside the box for her, because we would think this immediately. I'm just, no shade, but got a hotel, grabbed her little lingerie, knocked the dust off.
The hotel, the best place.
Yeah, got a hotel, knocked the dust off the lingerie, and kind of put in a little show for him and kind of sparked that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for her, it actually saved her marriage, because for a long time, she's wondering why he's angry. And he was angry. He had a lot of pent up frustration, and he was an honest man, so he didn't cheat on her.
Oh, it's good.
He would not cheat, so he wanted a divorce. Well, I mean, because he didn't want to cheat on her.
She picked it up.
Yeah, she finally saw it. And I can respect that, because for him as a man, and it's hard for men to, resist temptation when they're not getting it at home. He's like, I'd rather not cheat. I would rather leave and, go on about my business and find it somewhere else. They've been married for a long, long time. And so I respected him for that. But yeah, I mean, she just, picked up what he put down eventually when she saw that it was going to be over.
Okay, so because I know this follower, she just recently had a baby. So she's talking about, like, after you have a baby, and how do you get that intimacy back? And I feel like a lot of times before you have a kid with somebody, like, your energy is always on that person. And when you have a baby, your energy automatically goes to the child. So like Cece said, you have to listen and know what your man wants. And also, you have to be confident, because I think after you have a baby, you lose yourself, whether it's going through postpartum depression. Because when I had my kids, it was no words for postpartum for me. I just felt like I was out of the groove. Like, I didn't know how to dress anymore. I didn't know my body. Like, I had these people on my titties. Like, I didn't feel sexy. But I feel like you have to get your confidence back, your confidence, because I think a lot of times it's in our head. So you have to do things to make sure you feel good about yourself. Get your confidence back, because that man is probably still looking at you like you a fucking piece of steak and he's a dog. He just wants to bone.
My turn now.
Yes, Key. Take it over.
What you do, Key?
So y'all know I'm proactive, babe. So I was because I had a history of depression prior to me getting pregnant. I always try to stay on top of my mental health. You know what I'm saying? So as far as that feeling, that's just something that the self-care. It's just like I had to OD on self-care, because I already knew the process my body was going through. But y'all know me. Y'all watch the show. I'm already in my intimacy level. So I recall deciding to say, let's have a staycation. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's do something. Like, let's be intentional about doing something. Like, we finna, when we get over here, we're going to drop this baby off. But it's kind of difficult, too, when you're a new mom and you don't really want to be away from your kids, especially when you're breastfeeding. Because I was still breastfeeding, but it was important. It was important to me to try to attempt to have that connection with my partner, because I didn't want to, I wanted to do what you're supposed to do. I thought I was doing what you're supposed to do. So, and that's like what I want to do anyway.
But
the intimacy of it, just intentionally, or letting them know, like, we need to have a date night. This is healthy for us. We should do this. So it's like, I'm already feeding all this healthy self-love
back to yourself
in myself. So I'm just like, that's my life. That's my way of life.
Love that.
Well, I think because I hear this a lot from moms in general, back on what you said about feeling good about themselves. And I mean, you can have some men that make you feel good about yourself, but then I've heard people where their husband don't look at them the same after they have the kids, or don't touch them the same. And you know, like how you're in the kitchen, your man slap you on the butt just because after the baby come, it's like there's no physical touch there anymore.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, you know, how do women, you know, handle that? As far as like, I mean, communicating, you still want that, or some people they withdrew.
Or they can go further into depression. They're already
because now they don't feel beautiful. They don't feel wanted or desired by their man.
I think this would be such a great topic to bring up and have some male guests on to get their perspective.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we're gonna revisit this topic for sure.
Okay. Well, as always, you know where to find us on social media.
Hey, girl, I'm grown.
Girl, I'm grown. Like, comment, subscribe.
And as always, girl, I'm grown.